One I should have said. Mark, would you mind sharing that story with us?
I wouldn't mind at all, and I think I will, since I'm here and we're on. But I just got a text before I walked in here, and it said, break a leg. And I have to tell you about a story that the humorist, Kentucky humorist Tim Stiver tells about an old boy that goes into a little country doctor's office, and his leg was swinging in a 360, a circle. And the doctor said, oh my gosh, that must be terrible pain. He said, let me give you a shot right now to ease that. It don't feel pain. Don't hurt. Ain't felt pain but twice to my life, and this ain't one of them. The doctor said, well, I tell you what, we'll have it on hand here. If I've got to straighten this thing out and put a splint on it, get you to the emergency room for surgery. He said, anytime you just raise your hand, we'll give you that shot. Well, the doctor did the work. He straightened out the leg, put the temporary splint on there, and called the ambulance. And he looked at the man and he said, I've been watching your expression. He said, not once have you grimaced. He said, there's 2 times you felt pain. Would you mind sharing with me the first time you felt pain? He said, yes, sir. I was up in the woods one night listening to my coon hounds, and I sat down under a big oak tree right in the toothed teeth snare of a bear trap. The doctor said, that must have hurt. He said, what was the second time you felt pain? He said, when I come out to the end of that chain. Well, there's all these things that we could have said and should have said, and there's one style is we should have said and we ain't sorry for it. You know, we should have said it. And then there's the other kind of thing where you should have said something, but you don't know what, because the situation just would never be accepting of a response. But the kind I'd like to talk about is the kind that it's 2 hours later, or 2 days later, in this case 2 decades later, you go, I should have said. And it started out when I was in the 1st grade at St. Margaret Mary's School, and I had Sister Mary Oda, and we were delving for our first time into theology and doctrinal questions via the Baltimore Catechism. And the first question was, who made me? And the answer, God made me. I'm good with that. We're moving along. 1st grade. Second question, why did God make me? And the answer, because He was lonely. And I'm looking around the room at the pictures of these guardian angels guiding little children safely across the bridge. And I'm looking at my holy cards, and I raise my hand, Sister, yes, Mark Keller, are there angels in heaven? Why, that's a silly question. Of course there are. I said, then, well, why was God lonely? And she said, it's a mystery of the faith. Well, I soon learned. I wasn't a smart kid, but I could pick up things out of repetition. And year after year, I realized that's the way you squelch tubing for it. It's a mystery of the faith. And so now I'm down in my career and into my academia, and I'm in the 6th grade now, and I trap rabbits for my grandfather, who's a beagler, and they have a beagle club out in Butler, Kentucky, and they have to have wild rabbits to chase on the farm, because if they don't, the beagles don't get scored by the judges, so they needed rabbits to supply the farm. And he would give me $1 for every live rabbit I could catch in my little box trap. So when I get out of school, I'd run over and there's a hollow tree. I could stick my books in there. We had little uniforms, gray pants, and a white shirt, and blue sweater, and I had all that on. I had to keep it clean because we had to wear it every day. And I ran across the farm, checked my box traps. And one day, I found a possum, a big old mama possum with 9 babies on her. And there's this many guys, and when I disturb them, they all crawl back in the pouch because she's a masseuse. And they keep their babies in the pouch like a joey does in a kangaroo. And so when they get big enough, which I kept her long enough, the little guys are hanging on her back and they could eat on their own. Well, I took her back, let her go, and I had always wanted a pet possum since I ever saw Ellie Mae Clampett, that pet possum, next to the cement pond, that pet possum, remember that, on her shoulder. And I loved how she loved her critters, and so I kept 2 little babies, took Mom and the rest gone. Now these guys are big enough to eat, and so I named one Ellie, the other Jethro. And I got a hooded sweatshirt, and I sewed up one side, and the other side I put a flap with a button on it so I could stick those 2 little guys in there, which they were accustomed to, and carry them around the neighborhood, chase squirrels, or take them down to the creek and flip rocks and let them be crawdads, men, swarms, whatever. Well, one day we were on the playground, and we're playing basketball with those guys in the 6th grade recess, and I started bragging on my possums, and one of the guys, Billy Norcott, said, you don't have any pet possums. I said, I do. You don't. 6th grade boy, I'm going to show you. And our yard was attached to the schoolyard, so I ran across there. I got that little sweatshirt. I stuffed those 2 little possums right in there. We were playing. I showed them, and the bell rang. Now, if you know anything about parochial schools, especially Catholic schools, when that bell rang, your boys, you're on that block, and your girls, you're in that line, and you have your arms crossed, and you're standing there while the teachers walk down the middle a assessing the casualties at the playground. And I had my hands over that little pouch, and I think I was praying something like this. Oh, Hail Mary, full of grace, don't let them possums show their face. And I passed inspection. And I got back in the classroom, and I went to the back of the room, and I hung that jacket up, that little hooded sweatshirt, put some other coats around her, or maybe if it got to wiggling, she wouldn't see it. And I was scared because something awful could happen. Well, we got along pretty good through the reading portion, and Sister Kateri is up here in the front with the book, and she's reading, and she would point to different students to read out loud. And one time she looks up, and her eyes had filled the lenses of her glasses. And she's looking to the back of the classroom, and she had a finger that could reach the dice. And she points that thing out across the class, and she said, Mark Keller, do you know anything about global cells? And I looked over my shoulder, and there was one. It was in a brown paper bag and was working on an old half bologna sandwich. The other one had crawled across the books and was over in the window between the geraniums, doing this back and forth like it wanted to get outside. And you know, I don't remember exactly what I said, but I do remember the paddling. I felt that pain twice. But if I had that to do over again today, I would have turned back to Sister Kateri and said, it's a mystery of the faith.